Good morning. What a beautiful day. This is my friend Carmen. Carmen, a bit like me, is another music industry lifer. Man and boy at Martin, right?
Yes, sir.
Good for you. Yeah, Taylor, do a spin. It's literally feels like we're in this really old-fashioned residential community, presumably a pretty early US community,
yep,
right?
Definitely.
Got a kind of a German immigrant sort of influence here from, hundreds of years ago. Anyway, not the kind of street you'd expect to find a guitar factory on.
Sure.
But yeah, tell us where we are then, Carmen, and the significance of it all.
So, where we are today right now is the Martin North Street factory. This factory obviously is a critical component to our history. A lot of different evolution in the Martin guitars were produced in this location along with ukuleles. So this property would have been purchased by the Martin family in about 1857. The construction on all this would start in 1859. The Martin homestead is actually at the front of the property on the corner. That's where Mr. Martin and his family would have lived at the time. This piece we see right here would definitely be the first area of where guitar building would start for him. He would move from the Cherry Hill location. He was not allowed to come into Nazareth. Nazareth was a closed community at the time with Moravians. So this would start again in 1859 is where construction would start here.
It's a nice house.
And then it would sort of go through the years. You see different additions. And if we come all the way to the end of the building, this last addition was actually put on for the production of ukuleles.
Right.
So that's
the one
over
with the
on
two
this
garage
piece.
doors.
Yep, so this is an interesting, Lee's asking about the two garage doors in this little building. This portion would have been built to house steam for steam power during the Industrial Revolution. So this building would actually be where Mr. Martin would start to be able to incorporate things like steam power to start to produce more guitars. Now, obviously, steam came with a lot of risk with explosions, so the insurance company would make him, put this steam piece in here, so if something would happen, it wouldn't take out the rest of the building. And again, over here is where the ukulele, there's a lot of influence from the ukulele I don't think people often realize, and there would be many years with Martin that we would actually produce more ukuleles than guitars.
This is mad. So, how many years, did he literally start on his own or just with one or two employees?
So from what I understand, I'm not the historian, we could get the answer to that, but he had several employees up at Cherry Hill, but this is really where the expansion would be, Lee, when we get into the Martin Museum and you look at most of our historical photos where you see all of the older tools, the presses, everything, and you see everybody working in a row, it would actually be behind those windows. So most of the production would take place up there with guitar building, again, obviously with ukuleles when this was first put on. And then this piece over here would be another big area of production which we'll go up into.
That's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. And how long were they here for before they moved out?
So we were in here till about 1964. So 1964 would be the year that Martin would move from this location up to Sycamore Street.
It's crazy to think. So this was well over 100 years at this location.
Yep.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes me feel a bit like, however many years we'll do in the music industry or whatever like that, we're just a little blink of the eye compared to these guys, aren't we?
No, it's, again, a lot of different evolutions in the instrument, the ukuleles, different body sizes. The whole Martin history really took place in this building, again, up to 1964. So to your point, Lee, it's well over 100 years that guitars and ukuleles would be made here.
Well, let's get a look inside.
Yep.
I bet the residents around here were actually well pleased when you left, weren't they?
Hey, this was a major source of employment.
Well, I suppose
so a lot of people
yeah.
did, and just a couple other really neat points. This would actually say, C.F. Martin guitars and ukuleles. So again, to go back to my point about how important ukuleles would be for Martin, that's what that would say. And a lot of my coworkers, obviously grew up in this neighborhood. A lot of us have family members that have worked for many years at Martin. One of the best craftsmen I work for at Martin Guitars is Danny Brown. He's the custom shop manager, which we'll meet later. I mean, he grew up right in that house over there. Nazareth has always been sort of like a guitar inspiration. A lot of people come here to do different things. We even have like furniture movers that come here who are guitar enthusiasts who just come here for inspiration because they like to be close to the company, and a lot of different, we have some guitar building schools, things like that here. So we're very integrated to the community. We work a lot with the local university as well. So it's really neat, and we want to be a part of the community. We keep this up. It's designated as a historical area right now. That happened a few years ago. That was a pretty big thing for us. Right there's a little plaque stating that. One thing we do is we do sell some parts out of here. We do different things. So a lot of times when you make guitars, we all know that sometimes wood has different challenges to it. So sometimes in production, we may have a neck blank or a top or a back or a fingerboard that could have some sort of defect in it that we wouldn't consider good enough to be on a standard Martin guitar, but we will bring those items up here and we will sell them to the public. So anybody can come up here, buy parts. We sell kits. It's quite a big, nice part of our business. So let's take a walk inside. I don't know if the door's locked, but we'll ring the bell.
I can hear people inside. Yep. Here they come. No matter what. Good morning. So we have walked in the front door. I mean, look at the ceilings and just everything. It's such a step back in time, isn't it? Have you any idea, would this have been like some sort of reception area, or were you straight into the factory?
I don't know exactly how that would have been laid out, Lee, when everything was constructed. There's definitely pictures. It appears that it would have been, but over the years, everything would just sort of turn into manufacturing as space would run tight time after time again, as orders would increase and he would have to expand. But as of now, again, we sell a lot of different parts in here. It's really interesting. We get a lot of different visitors, people who are trying to build their own guitars, looking for parts. We sell a lot of second quality cases. Sometimes we have cases that have scratches or different things wrong with them. You can get a pretty good deal at times. Also different components to our guitar building. Obviously, some of the parts that we use, they just don't meet our quality level. And a lot of times it could be something cosmetic that we don't want to put on the guitar. For example, on this piece of mahogany here, you see a sort of a knot here. The problem with that one is it goes all the way through. So again, not to the quality level of a D18 or an 18 series Martin guitar, but at the end of the day, if somebody's looking to build their own instrument or get involved in it and try it out, these are good parts to try out. You can make a great guitar out of it.
I'm getting proper chills just running my hand over these things and feeling like, you know, all the employees from 150, 180 years ago, including, you know, generations of Martin, you know, of the Mr. Martins, and it's just so mad. I mean, look at the way. I mean, it's just incredible, isn't it? You know, and we over here. I mean, you can obviously see this has got some heat marks and stuff. So I don't know what necessarily would have gone on there. Maybe that's where they had the candle that they worked.
Yep.
This again, figure this out. Which back in the early days here, there wouldn't have even been electricity to put the lights on.
That's right.
It would have just literally been daylight
under
and
a candle.
Candles.
Yep.
I mean, I suppose, as was all manufacturing back then, not just guitars, you know, but it does somewhat seem, I suppose there aren't really any other guitar brands that, you know, would have been, around in that time.
Nazareth Lee plays a critical component because of the Pennsylvania Dutch, which would be older German immigrants that were in the area. That's part of Martin's history. And Mr. Martin, you know, they spoke the language, they felt at home here. But there's also that underlying craftsmanship that these people in the work ethic that they brought forward was very appealing to him. So that was a big component, we think, in getting the business off the ground, starting to make more guitars and fulfilling demand, because demand would come at him very quickly and he would have to respond quickly to fulfill it. And he did a pretty good job. And at the same time, to Lee's point, if you look at some of those guitars that were made in that period, they're so amazing. But, you know, he didn't have orbital sanders. There wasn't any pneumatic anything. So to Lee's point, a lot of this stuff would be built, under candlelight and utilizing, windows for light and everything. It's really interesting.
Steam for heating.
Steam for heating, yeah, absolutely. Steam for heating up hide glue pots or anything that they would need for any type of tool.
I think it's amazing.
Yep.
I feel like for next year's road trip, I'm so nostalgic about all this stuff. I think we should go and see Zildjian, because they're like the 500-year-old music company. I know they don't make guitars, but I bet they've got some crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's a little like a rabbit warren. I love all these old, big, thick stone walls. There's just a toilet out here. We don't need to see this.
Yeah.
It's a historic toilet.
We do our best to keep this building alive and well, and it's now, as my coworker mentioned previously, part of the historic registry. So some areas are in better shape than others, but it's always interesting to see. The floor creaks, which is quite interesting, just to remind you.
Do you want to follow up? I'll hold the door. Mind your head.
Sidetracked.
So you're on the first floor right now. This is sort of an area that's still utilized for storage. We don't do a lot here. This would have been the last area of this building where we actually did some form of manufacturing. I actually, when I first started working at Martin for a brief period, was winding strings here.
Really?
So we actually had, when we ran out of space at Nazareth, we didn't know where to go. We actually had the string manufacturing over at Sycamore Street, and then it was moved in here, but we quickly found out that a building of this age is not really suitable for string winding machines that have a lot of vibration. So again, R&D took place in here. We had some spraying areas where we did a lot of different finishing, research and development.
It's got a bit of a feel of the 60s here, hasn't it?
Yeah, so as I said, I remember I grew up out from the Sycamore Street factory, and it was painted in this blue. So I always really like that color. That seems the
banisters, great color.
Yep.
Great color. I feel like any minute now one of us is going through the floorboards.
Yeah.
Probably Taylor, given how much gear he's carrying. Oh, I like it up here. So is this a portrait of the original Christian Martin? I guess it would have been 1796. Wow. And so you were mentioning very, very first then in New York.
Yep.
And what was the reason again that they moved out to Nazareth from New York?
Lee's asking, he set up street at Hudson Street is where he would come in and set up from Martin. Just imagine how New York City was at the time.
Yeah.
You're coming from Martin, which is, one place, and then the city's really rough. So you got a lot of things going on. Mr. Martin's wife was not really into it. She was kind of like, I want to go back.
Right.
And Mr. Martin, we'll see a couple of instruments, was working with a gentleman in Markneukirchen by the name of Shantz. And Shantz would actually immigrate to America before Mr. Martin and actually end up in this area before Mr. Martin. And as they're talking in Hudson Street, he says, hey, we're thinking about going back. Shantz says, you might want to think about coming out to Nazareth. The Pennsylvania Dutch, you have the older German immigrants out here. It looks very similar to Markneukirchen, Nazareth, Pennsylvania. So they came out here, and Mrs. Martin basically said, it's here or going back, and obviously we wouldn't be here if they went back, so Nazareth became the community.
You know what they say? Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah,
so it's good for it, worked out well for everyone.
Yep.
Look at these tools.
And right here is really where a lot of the manufacturing would take place. And when we did some repainting, this is kind of neat. So what you're looking at here is just certain things that Martin co-workers over the years wrote on the wall as they worked here. And here they were recording snowstorms, 1944, everything. So you see a lot of different things from a lot of different people.
Wow. I mean, look at this. I mean, I presume all of this would have been made in-house.
Yep, of course, yes. Yeah, I mean,
and this is just a clamp, is it? To clamp the top on or clamp various parts of the guitar as it's gluing?
Absolutely.
As its glue is drying?
Yeah, it's very functional.
My life. It probably is still reasonably functional, isn't it? But yeah, it's like, you know, your mind is blown now because, you know, modern manufacturing, you'd go to a tooling company, they would, you know, but this is like somebody with just a chisel and a saw has just gone, we need a clamp, Mr. Martin. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, guitar building's two ways. You have to build guitars, but at the same time, you have to build your own tools.
Yeah.
And that has been something at Martin Guitar that till this day is very important. Our tooling and machinery shop is a big component to us being able to make the guitars in the quantity and quality level we do. But again, you have to make your own tools.
And these are all presumably the original kind of molds for the different body shapes
Absolutely.
that you make.
Yep, ukuleles and mandolin form when we did A-style mandolins.
Yeah. And some of what is it, like little...
That's a tipple.
A tipple?
Yep.
I'm going to have a tipple tonight to celebrate the end of our trip. My goodness me. What's this, like 100 years old as well or something crazy? Wow.
Then these are interesting. So what these are the original shoes, the heating shoes, the bending press shoes. So you would sit here and you would bend your sides. You know, you probably would have a kettle of water here that was heated. You take your side, you put it in there, get it up to the moisture content, then they would sit here and hand bend all the sides.
This is what you need. That's like your favorite colors and everything.
Yes, my favorite sign. I really like it. Again, you know.
Do you know, I was looking through a guitar magazine on the aeroplane out here, and it mentioned Martin electric guitars, and I said to Pete, I had no idea you even made electric guitars, and there's a Martin guitar amp as well.
Yep.
They look pretty cool.
It's a brief period of our history.
I bet someone has another go at that one day. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we have the samples in the museum.
Look at that.
Yep.
Is that a different brand, or is that just like
I don't know what that
Martin?
is.
That may not even be a Martin. It might just be.
I'm not sure exactly what this one is, but
all different handwriting on here. Again, it's really weird how. You only have to touch this stuff.
High glue pot, or whatever. Yeah.
You only have to touch this stuff to really get this quite weird spiritual sense of just another time of people.
This would have been CF's original desk, so where he would have wrote his letters back and forth, purchase orders, whatever. Everything would be here, and that would be a picture of him
just
standing
like a wanted poster, isn't it? Wow. I just... Yeah. I wonder what they'd think of the music industry nowadays, if they could see it. It's mad, isn't it? I wonder if they'd, like, what would they think of the internet and online shopping and, I mean...
Yeah, we asked that a lot, Lee. You know, what if they could see the guitars we're building today? What if they could come through the factory? What would they think, you know? We're lucky to be a part of that legacy.
I think it would have been a pretty magical kind of time back then.
Definitely.
Was this for putting serial numbers on or something?
No, I think that was just for stamping different documents, but we will see later on, we still do have the original stamps to put the stuff in. As a matter of fact, on that point, if you buy a Martin D18 Authentic, the serial number and name is actually stamped on with the original stamp dies.
I'm so into that. When we were at the Gibson factory, and this is, I bet, whatever I tell you now, you're just going to +1 it with the Martin thing. But they had the press that presses the tops and backs for 335. So they put the laminate in and they press. That dates back to 1948. And they've only ever had that one machine. So every 335, you know, mine, Eric Clapton's, B.B. King's, if you've owned one, it's like all made on that press. And then they were saying even Gibson bought that second hand, and it was originally used to press artillery shells for the American Army going back to the First World War.
Wow.
It's like, nuts. But yeah, so this is like, I can see the mind going, hold my beer, let me show you this thing from 100 years before that, you know.
It really is great, the whole historical piece of Martin. It's good to be, again, it's good to be part of that legacy, and a lot of things we did back then and a lot of the approaches we take to guitars we still do today.
Who was Barry?
So these people who work here, we all like to leave our mark. You know, some people leave their badges here. As a matter of fact, I could show you. You know, even over here. So here we have a coworker of mine, Trudy. She made her mark. You know, she left in 1996.
And what did she do?
So Trudy worked.
Trudy,
yes,
right.
Trudy would have worked in shipping.
Yeah.
From 1996. Everybody's here. Let's see who else we have. I think there's a few more upstairs.
Is there?
too.
There's another. Oh yeah, there's another floor.
Yep. So we can go in here. Check this out.
Oh wow, we've got some.
So again, remember what I said. This would have been the extension of where the ukuleles would have been produced. When you see a lot of the old historical Martin photos, here's where the production line would have been set up, and they would be looking out the window.
It's quite a nice place to work. Bit of natural daylight.
Yep.
Again, it's a little bit, you can see almost like an advancement now in getting into more sort of engineering, kind of metal presses. And would have this been for taking timber up and down, and or I suppose anything really?
Yeah. Yep. We had the conveyor for taking everything up and down.
Tons of asbestos just lying around.
Gotta get that
Let's
out
hope
of
not.
there. Now, this is I think this is a form of something. I don't know what, but I see some ribbon lining in there.
Oh, I like this. Oh, I suppose that's relatively new, isn't it? Made for the museum. What a cool sign.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Any idea? So is one of these a Mr. Martin on here, or are we not sure?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure. Maybe the middle guy.
Looks like it. It's neat to see it. I mean,
some of these people
they
in
look
here
pretty serious, don't they?
I know.
They're craftsmen. They're not here to fool around. That's for sure.
Some of these people, I almost feel like you know, this guy here maybe looks. I know it won't be the current Chris Martin, but maybe, you know, it almost facially looks kind of similar. Or maybe, and you think maybe that is a descendant of his.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows?
A lot of these people still have family lineage that still lives in Nazareth, so it's a small community.
I'm just being nosy. Look, there's loads of stuff in here. Oh, look, you could spend all day. Pictures of the US military, I don't know whereabouts are they, in Afghanistan. Thank you for your support, Martin. Brilliant. I like these. Look at that little clock in the headstock. You could just, tons of old VHS tapes. That'll be someone's job one day, won't it, to go through and see what's on here. Wow. It's like you say, it's just a treasure trove, isn't it, of just
I mean,
stuff.
we were lucky enough that we saved a lot over the years, so all of this stuff we have, you know, sort of sorted out. We have a area for older historical documents we'll see at the Sycamore Street factory, but...
Stamps, but I guess different. That's a sunburst, that's an Anderton. I guess that would have been stamped on a card or whatever on the in the sound hole. It's just, I know this. Do you know what? I know we've got tons to do today. I could just spend the whole day just going through stuff in here.
I mean, if you want to see, one of my favorite things is this over here, where the workers who were lined up against this wall made a little note on the wall indicating statehood in 1939. So if you see, they wrote here the statehood of Alaska and Hawaii in 1939.
So they were formed. Alaska and Hawaii were formed, and someone's just gone, that's a historical day. Wow. There you go, some good advice. Learn how to receive criticism. Why work so hard to be a success? It's easier to be an expert. A big problem is never one single problem. A big problem is always comprised of many little problems. See, what could we put on it? There are no problems, only solutions. I love it. Where's Eric? Is that Eric? I think that's Eric.
It is.
Yes. Oh, there he is. The daddy, the OG. Did you used to have one of these in your office, Carmen, and you'd literally pin all of the
Of course I
Martin
do.
dealers?
Yep. I do.
Absolutely.
All the maps we've gone through over the years.
It's just brilliant. Oh, look, I mean, it's nice. A little terrace to have some. Is that a neighbour?
I don't think that's a neighbor. But hey, you never know what you find up here, right? I always like to see some of the older, different campaigns we went through over the years. There's a lot of different stuff here that's kind of neat. Our electric guitar strings, you know, things like that. Things we went through. Some of it worked well, some of it hasn't until you find your way. But it's a lot of neat little, older things we have. Again, this is stuff that's kind of in general stores. The Shenandoah, that's an interesting series. A lot of people probably don't remember.
I don't remember that one, no.
Yeah, so the Shenandoah would have been actually a guitar that was, I think it was like kind of built in Japan. It kind of had some of that, but it came to the Martin factory to be finished. So it was our attempt at, hey, we're going to try to make a guitar at a little lower cost than the standard D28 and D18. And
that's nice.
That's
the fan heater's just gone off. Just as we're about to leave.
Yep, perfect. Timing's perfect.
Oh, brilliant, man.
Yeah, so I think you get the picture, Lee. You know, it's a really great part of our company. We still keep
Danish oil
open.
So what talk me about, as we're just walking around, my God, this feels like something out of a horror movie. We're definitely going up here.
Oh boy.
I'm never coming back down now.
So you can now say you've been in the North Street attic.
This is where they used to lock you if you were naughty.
Yep. Or if you messed something up or you dropped the guitar, you sort of ran it up here, you threw it in the attic and hoped
it's just another treasure trove of stuff. I mean, tell me about, as we're walking around, Carmen, tell me about the sort of what were you trying to do with the North Street edition guitars that came out fairly recently?
Yeah, those guitars are something that we worked on with Westside, just in the spirit of North Street.
So that was quite a UK. Westside, if you don't know, is the Martin distributor in the UK. Have been for as long as I can remember. Yeah,
it's a custom shop edition that's built in the spirit of North Street. Basically Adirondack tops. We tried to put a little bit more of an older component to it. It's just something that was built out of the inspiration of visiting this place. So that's the component behind that guitar. But you can see up here, there's just all kinds of forms. We keep everything. This isn't really cataloged or put in. This is a small component of it. We'll see a lot more stuff later.
It might be a bit dark up
there. The
here.
good part is, Lee, is I actually got to come up here, I think it was about 20 years ago, before anybody was even up here, and we actually decided to clean it out because this was really full of a lot of things. And as we were going through here, we just found all kinds of different things, parts of our history, different documents. You would be surprised how many documents the Martins saved, different letters back and forth to different people. And sometimes you find some interesting things in those letters. Things like Mr. Martin corresponding with furniture makers about his formula of lacquer and how he's applying the finish to the guitars. And they would share that back and forth. So it's kind of neat to find those documents and see what those original recipes were.
It's just mad.
Yep.
So much stuff up here. Anyway, look. Probably not the greatest light for filming, is it? So we might as well get back downstairs. But it is just from like every American horror movie, isn't it? Ever where you come up into the attic and creepy things happen. Oh yeah, what's that on the inside? Lots of signing.
Yeah, actually what this is, I think this, what this is, Martin Skytop. So Skytop would have been a location in the Poconos where the executives would go away from Martin for several days to form a strategic plan. So they would do a celebration, you know, once the event was over, we actually would have our strategic plan book created on what we needed to do, and that was part of it.
That just seems to be...
Oh yeah,
just seems
look
to be
at
like
that.
loads and loads of people who
signatures.
So do you think these have been staff? Do you think you'll be on here somewhere?
I don't think I ever attended a Skytop event. Take a look here. Right there would be my wife, Tracy McGuire. Yep.
So you even met your wife through Martin as well,
Yeah,
did you?
met my wife through Martin. It's
I used to be a heel. That's great.
Yeah, a lot of these coworkers have since retired. I mean, I'm thinking this is at least 20, 25 years old, maybe.
I mean, I kind of feel it's
Fred
all,
Everett. So Fred, I still work with Fred.
This is something that probably feels like it should come back to the main offices.
Yeah, but there's just so many things like that.
There go the fans again.
Right, our biggest fans.
Mark here just said, look, this, again, I just don't know. There's so much stuff around here. You almost feel like you don't spot it, but yeah. So this guitar's from 1944. What did you say it was, model-wise?
17.
It's mad how even though this guitar is 80-something years old, I still know where to look to see what the model number is because it's just like it's where they always are. Wow! Look at the. Again, what? Shouldn't this be somewhere?
It's an aged guitar, Lee.
I know, but
we just produced it a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? That's the sort of
You asked
the
about
Tom
it.
Murphy.
Yeah, we did that for you.
Yeah, brilliant. I
Massive
love
lap.
it. I'm such a sucker for all that. Nice 12-string. That looks pretty old as well. I don't have a Martin 12-string.
Look at the serial number, I'll tell you.
It is 416582, a D12 28. Let's all guess before we do.
70s?
I think 70s, yeah.
Yep,
I think.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know what, as well, this just feels like it just needs a new set of strings. And stick the scratch plate down a little bit, and that would be fine.
4-1, you said?
Yeah, 416582.
79.
Still.
79, yeah. Still pretty old, isn't it?
Yeah, older than.
Older than me.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch. Right, back down. Oh no, this is a toilet in here. That's not the exit.
So look, the plan was, this was to be we wanted to have this as a really special section that people could come up and visit, and it would be a complete recreation of how it was. But, again, with access and the amount of money just to get a bathroom and everything else in here, the expense was
I know, building regulations
overbearing.
on trying to old buildings like this, bring it up to modern standards. It's a shame because you'd like to feel like lots of people could come and experience it. But if, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and make it up to, safety regs and all that kind of stuff.
And the building's been put through 100 years of intense guitar making too, so it definitely
hopefully
has
this
done its
video
job,
gives people a bit of a taste of what's here. Okay, so that's the end of our first little tour. What time is it now? Look at this. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. And you're working us hard today. So anyway, so this is North Street, where I guess where it pretty much all began for Martin. We're going to be with Carmen all day, and I'm sure we'll meet some of his other colleagues at Martin as well. But where are we going to next?
So next we're going to be off to the Sycamore Street factory. Again, we would have moved from this location to Sycamore in 1964. So
64. That's when Andertons started.
Yeah, hey.
So just as we were getting started, you were already moving to the bigger and better things.
Somebody had to sell all those new guitars we were going to make. So.
Well, this is true. So look, like I say, I'm going to come back here again one day, but just to spend the day finding stuff. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Next video on our Martin tour, I expect it'll be out in a few days or a few weeks' time. So please like and subscribe, and you'll find out when that is. But yeah, man, I know we're going to do this lots of times today, but this is going to be the best day ever. So thank you very much. See you later.